Hello and welcome back to the worst reselling podcast ever, featuring me, the Disgruntled Octopus, and I can't read, Granny. These eyes are painted on. What's your name?
I'm Grumpy Granny,
That's right. Well, the second
eBay queen.
I was just about to say the second most popular person, or mythical sea creature that has a song named after them, and looking at personal privilege and preference would be my video is probably the best so far.
Well, I don't know about that. I think my acting in mine, like I did the whole miming and, film myself and put special effects on. I think the film itself, your song might be better, but the film itself for mine's better.
Well, Grumpy Granny, let me ask you a question before we get into today's topic. Have you ever been on fire underwater?
No.
Because I have, according to that song. But anyway, let's move on from that.
Well, also, according to that song, you're furry.
And that's right, and a viral sensation. I've been called a virus before, but never a viral sensation. But I do think that there's a couple of YouTubers out there probably do think I'm a virus.
Yeah, well, Adam did a very good job with it, actually, yes.
That's exactly right. So I will be reacting to that video because A, I can't be bothered doing anything else, and B, I will put the description to Adam's channel in the description box below. So
yes.
Anyway, so Granny, I'm disgruntled again. The humans of the world have annoyed me, and
what's new?
That's exactly right. So we are going to get into today's topic quite quickly. Last couple of weeks, we have been a bit of a negative Nancy, if you will, because we want to kind of portray the other side of reselling, right? So I would rather make videos about how fantastic reselling is and how much money it's going to make you. And if you start today, you can make $100,000 next week, because those videos would get me views, and I would be able to retire and pay my bill and my rent on purely YouTube AdSense alone. But realistically, as an octopus that's trying to take over the human race, I don't want all these clowns basically trying to resell, because they're going to be worth nothing. They're going to be all poor, and I'll have to be a dictator of poor people or poorer people.
True. Yeah, and as much as we still get, like, there are still great sales out there. Like, I sold a book for $400 this week, so that was fantastic, but I don't get to do that every day. The next day I might only sell something worth $25. So,
That's right. And because we don't have a very big viewership on this channel, I feel like I can probably, stretch my tentacles a little bit further and basically say a little bit more controversial things. But I am getting very, very, very pissed off, and I can swear now because it's after the minute mark, by the amount of YouTubers, the amount of TikTokers, the amount of all these people that just materialized in the last 6 months, all of a sudden knowing everything about reselling. Excuse me, and they're basically portraying that, saying, hey, look, if you go to the op shop and you buy this and you can make a couple of dollars, fantastic. But they're not talking about the sell-through rate or how long these things sit. I sold something probably in a day or two. They've been sitting for 2 years. So if I had if I had redirected that money not necessarily into that item, that could have been $1,000 into something else. I could have flipped a lot quicker. So
true. Well, my $400 book is, I had listed almost 12 months ago, not quite, but almost. So,
But what it really comes down to, right? And this is not a take at anyone. There are a lot of people out there, and if I did have an issue, I would raise it with them. I wouldn't be a coward and hide behind an octopus. I can't say that. But no, what I do is actually reach out to people, right? So not to be I won't say a prick, but basically I reach out to them and say, hey, look, I don't necessarily agree with what you're portraying, what you're saying, and all these different things. How about you tone the message down or revamp it? And a lot of the times, the people I have reached out to aren't egotistical. They're not probably seeing it from that perspective because they are excited, right? It just makes a novelty, oversized octopus on fire under the ocean. It's a viral sensation to let them know about these things. So, you really, really, really need to be careful who you're listening to, who you're watching. And like I said numerous times, don't take what we say for gospel, especially whatever side she's on. But I think I'm starting my little tirade. But before I ask you how your week was, Granny, I want to bring this up right quickly because this is what we've seen in the Facebook group yesterday. I've stripped the names out. So basically, obviously, hide all the guilty parties and all these different things. So this is what came across. Granny, your overlays screwed us up.
Yes.
So about to start listing 80 pairs of women's shoes, something I know nothing about, which is the first mistake, right? I just went back and checked the comments section, and someone said, look, you really need to branch out into new niches. You probably need to buy 1 or 2 products to learn the system. Don't go out and buy 80 pairs of shoes.
Mm.
They're all purchased in a boutique, so most of them are definitely worth it. Well, the reason why they're still there is probably the first question, the one I asked. Does anyone specialize in women's shoes that may have helpful tips or knowledge to share? Thank you.
Yeah.
So I do give them kudos for, excuse me, for asking the way they did. Geez, I'm losing my voice. I have to cut that in edit.
God, but we haven't even started.
Well, that's exactly right. This is what happens when you're on fire underwater. You gets down to your vocals. But realistically, when I started Skylanders, because again, Grumpy Granny's favorite thing, or when Granny was talking about glass and ceramics last week, she didn't go out and buy the whole op shop worth of ceramics and bowls and glassware. She bought a couple and realized quite quickly these are crap. These are really hard to send. All these different things. So where I might sell a book, use about maybe $1 or $2 in packaging material, depending on the price of the book. It's compared to probably $10 or $15 in packaging material for a plate. They're only making $2 or $3.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is what it really comes down to. And I know that Minion J has said on the live, and the little 30-minute live, which stretched into 2 hours, you really need to be better than the people that know more than you, like the
experts.
It infuriates me, because
Look, when you're going into a new niche, or you want to start working in a new niche, you don't go out and buy 80 pairs of something you know nothing about. And what are the sizes? Because I can tell you now, if they're small sizes, which they highly likely are, because they wanted to get rid of them for some reason, they're not going to sell.
Well, that's exactly right. And like I said, I'm fully supportive of people branching out to new niches and all these different things, but just take it little baby steps at a time.
Yeah.
This situation comes up where you can buy 80 pairs of shoes. It mightn't necessarily be the best thing for your business at that time. You really need to, and I don't know the financials of this person, and I don't know how long this person's been around. I haven't researched that far, but what it really comes down to is read the comments, because we before we started pressing record on this video, I went and read the comments, and this person's living in a fantasy land. People are actually saying, hey, look, I'm a shoe seller for 20 years, and this is what I find, a very complicated niche and all these different things. Yep. Not one response from the poster where someone else is like, hey, this is fantastic. Good luck. Congratulations and all these different things. And then they respond to those comments. And it goes back to those things we said a couple of weeks ago, is that people are cherry picking what they want to listen to. If you have an alternative, point of view or something they don't necessarily agree with, they're going to ignore it.
Well, that's exactly right. What they do is they'll respond to what they want to hear, and then they ignore the other comments, which are the other comments are usually the ones that give good advice.
That's exactly.
Yeah, and that's why I stopped going into the Facebook groups, because
that's right. I'm a glutton.
Not worth my time.
I barely comment anymore because the simple fact is, and like I've said before, is that. Not that I expect admiration or praise and all these different things, or basically, but a simple thank you doesn't go astray and all these different things. Who am I kidding?
Yeah.
But what it really comes down to is that, this case in point of this lady's actually written a paragraph of saying, hey, look, this is what I look at. She did mention that the larger size shoes are quite. They have a niche market. Obviously, people that probably dress up in ladies' clothes would be looking for all those different things. And you've said so yourself. These are things that I didn't even think of. Like nuances that I wouldn't have thought. And if you do have 8 pairs of the same shoes, please reach out, because I am looking for some new shoes. But what it really comes down to is that you really, 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 not especially at this point of the economy, is you can't really start looking that far out. So
something like that. If you come across something like that, you know nothing about it, you ask the questions first before you buy it. Surely that sale, that purchase wasn't going to disappear in 5 minutes. Reach out to some people that you know that are sellers, possibly shoe sellers, and ask about the stuff, whether it's worth it. Get some advice.
Well, that's exactly right. So we've got an unofficial group chat where a couple of the resellers are in, all those different things. And if I'm at the shop and come across an AFL jersey, which I know absolutely nothing about, I'll take a photo of it. Put it in my tentacle, hang it there and walk around the shop until they get back to me and say, yes, grab it, or no, it's fake, or, don't grab it, it's only worth $3 or something like that. Then what I do is I walk back to where it was, put it back on the coat hanger and go about my day.
Yeah.
So realistically, you need to do your research, do all these different things in the background, and just really infuriates me.
Yeah. Oh, people are just silly. Just silly.
And,
Yeah.
and like I said, there's nothing wrong with if you had bought 3 or 4 pairs of shoes and work out from that perspective and go from that perspective. But buying 80, and I don't know what he paid for because he didn't elaborate, but he did mention in one of the comments that what was it he paid for 3? It cost him the equivalency of 3 pairs of shoe at retail. So if they're a boutique, they could be like $400 or $500 for a pair of shoes, right?
Yes. I was about to say that because, if you can find if you could find the right pair of shoes and they're the right brand. I mean, I've sold shoes and for $160 and they sold overnight because, they were such a good brand. But I only ever found 1 pair of those shoes. So, I mean, if you've got 80 of those, good on you, good luck to you. That's fantastic. But did you know that before you bought them?
Well, that's exactly right. Like, because what necessarily goes to retail, you're not going to get that on eBay, regardless if they're new or otherwise. So the best you could probably hope for brand new shoes in box would probably maybe be 60 or 50% retail. I don't know shoes. I've told you before, I've sold 3 pairs. I don't want to go near them ever again.
No, you're quite right. You're quite right. It's anything like that. You're looking at, like, if they're selling for $300, don't expect to be able to resell them, even if they are new in box, for more than $150.
That's right.
That's how it is.
But then you've got your eBay fees, you get your promotion fees, you got the sizing. They've got all these different things that come into play, right? And that's why I personally, and Grumpy Granny, I suppose to a degree as well, prefers to something that's universal. Grumpy Granny, as long as someone speaks English, they can read a book, right? Or they can look at the book. Skylanders, they can just, as long as they're alive, they can put a Skylander on a portal, right? So that basically doesn't cut out like 90% of your market because you bought size 4 US women's shoes.
Yeah.
How many people are those running around? Like, there's a lot of people that read English or read books and all these different things. There's other people that are alive and can put a toy on a platform. So, you're really...
like, honestly, the things that are going through my mind right now, even if they are a fantastic brand and might sell well in a size Australian 8 or a US, I think US and Australian sizes are the same in that respect, but an 8 or a 9 or a 10 might sell reasonably quickly. If you've only got 6s and 5s and 7s, they could sit forever. And what are the styles? How old are they? Are they styles that people no longer wear?
Well, that's right. And I've said numerous times before, right? So I'll wear thrifted clothing. And I have said before, I'll pick up my Levi jeans and all these different things. I just have to make sure that I find ones with 8 leg holes. But I would never, ever, and this is not everyone, and I appreciate that, I would never buy a secondhand pair of shoes. So realistically, on eBay in any capacity, right, I would rather go down to Athlete's Foots or, someone basically at those stores and buy my Keanos from there than...
When I was selling shoes, which is when I sort of, probably in the first 12 months I was selling shoes because I was able to pick up a few pair, but I was surprised I only bought leather ones and they were mostly all vintage, but I was surprised at how many sold. And but it was just due to a lack of being able to get a consistent supply, and they do take up a lot of room, especially if they're in box. So, and that's why I stopped actually doing that. So, I no longer sell shoes. Although I did find some the other day in a tub buried under some clothing that, I obviously have to still sell those.
But like you were saying, is you got styles, you got seasons, you got sizes, you've got, are they unisex, are they men's, women's, and all these different things? Are they, catering to a certain niche? All these different things. So, realistically, if I was buying shoes, if I wanted to go buy shoes, right, I would buy shoes that for cosplayers, people that want to dress up as like Comic-Con or anime characters and all these different things. Those are the ones that I'd focus on because you can basically import them and sell them to that niche market, and that niche market will pay a lot of money for them because market a brand behind them, right? But going to your thrift stores or going to, this is purely from me, and I know I'm going to have people in the comments, all 3 of you writing back, I sell shoes and shoes are fantastic. I'm not looking at primarily from a viable long-term strategy, right? We're seeing in a lot of those aforementioned, YouTubers and TikTokers and all these different things. The high tide's in. Ava's the only one in the kitchen, so I've got my 6-year-old in the kitchen trying to put things away. She's like rustling. But those TikTokers and all these different things saying, hey, look, I bought these pair of Levi's for $10 and all these different things. But then the follow-up videos are like, oh, my video went viral now, Salvos or Goodwill, you've marked them up to $35 and rah. It's like, it's not a viable long-term strategy, right? So what I've said before and what I'll say again is that you need to use reselling, get in, get out, because I don't care who you believe. I don't care if you pay $34.99 a month, and don't get me started on that, is that realistically get in, learn a niche as best you can, be better than the people that are around you. So strive to be number one. Like, I don't dispute that, right? So when someone says they're the number one reselling octopus on the world, be the number one reselling octopus. Yeah, be the number one bookseller. Be the number one clothing seller. Be the best, Skylanded, or aspire to be it, right? So always try to do those different things. But don't go and buy 80 pairs of shoes as a one-off thing, because whatever you learn over that 80 pairs of shoes, you're going to forget. Like the amount of things I've bought one-off, and I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours researching, knowing it back to front, listed it, sold it, never came across one for 3 years, and I have to go back to square one because I've forgotten all about it. So
and you got those 80 pairs of shoes, okay, and you might, and look, let's just say they're fantastic, and you sell them. What next? Where are you going to get some more like that?
Well, that's right. And do you know the nuances? Do you know how to ship them? Do you know how to protect them in the post? Like, personally, I just chuck them in a bloody padded mailer or in a satchel, and off I go.
The trouble is, when they're new in box like that, they cost a hell of a lot more to post if people still want them in the box. I actually used to, if I did get the odd pair that were new in box, I would either A, take them out of the box, or B, offer as a postage option that they could have it without the box or in the box, because in the box it was going to cost twice as much to post. So
well, that's exactly right. So what I would do in this situation, right? So if you are that shoe seller and you are watching and you're writing your hateful comments in the comment section, which you're more than welcome to do, because I love it. I would create a variation listing, right? And this is a bit of a nuanced one. So you could basically have one variation as shoes only, then the second variation with box. Then basically what the differences in postage make the differences between the variations. So have your $9.99 postage, whatever it is the flat rate. But if it's only going to cost you $9.99 to sell the shoes, make them $54.99, right? But if it's going to cost you $30 to send it with a box, make them $74.99 plus your $10 postage on top of that. So that's how I would get around that box or no box. Personally, I would just basically, I'm going to throw the box out anyway. So realistically say, hey, look, here's a pair of shoes. They're brand new. They got the tags on them and all these different things. Look, yay, there's no box.
Look, when it comes to reselling shoes, you're not walking into a shop expecting to get brand new shoes in a box. So people actually don't mind, even if they have got the tags on them and they are new, people don't mind them being out of box. So just sell them out of box.
No, and I suppose the only caveat I would put on that, if they're high-end Nike, so your Air Force Jordans.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's right. But make sure that you, and this person as well, is that 80 pair of shoes, if you bought them for a boutique, I dare say that they're high-end shoes, because I don't know shoes. Like, I'm not even going to pretend that I know shoes, is that you're going to have to get them validated or verified to see if they're real. Because if you put 80 pairs of fake shoes up on there, what's going to happen to your eBay account? And yes, I know you bought them from a boutique, but what's to say the boutique goes, oh crap, Grumpy Granny, the work experience kid just bought 80 pairs of fake shoes. We're going to put them aside, and we'll liquidate them later. So potentially he could have bought 80 pairs of fake shoes. Like, I'm not saying that that's the case, but these are things that I'll be instantly going through my mind, is that, A, why they're selling 80 pairs of shoes for the price of 3 retail. So just say $1,500.
See, that just sends alarm bells off in my head. And that's all I'm thinking of, is why are they selling them that he could pick them up, so he or she could pick them up so cheap in the first place? It's just going ding, 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 ding.
Well, and that's exactly right. And I can forethought about your comments in the comment section. Oh, they've probably gone out of business, or they're liquidating, and all these different things. If they were worth money, the person that owns that business would probably go onto eBay or Facebook Marketplace and sell them individually, maybe at 25% of retail, right? So realistically, you need to look at it from that perspective. And I can guarantee you that those shoes are really bad sizes. Because
that's what I'm thinking. They've got someone's had it, say, in a shop, and they've sold out of all the bigger sizes, and they're all got just those small sizes left, and maybe they've been, after stock take, given them to the op shop, or whether they bought them directly from the boutique that was selling them. That's why they're getting rid of them, because their last season's style or the season before's style, they're not going to sell, A, because they're an old style, and B, because they're too small.
That's right. And something that I was going to record a video today, but I've been flat out all weekend with my dancing to the song that Adam wrote about me. But next week's video is going to be about, what happens when you need to wrap up reselling. If you're looking at quitting, or if you're looking at basically it's no longer viable and all these different things. Because reading the comments and reading this gentleman's comments, I can guarantee you that he thinks that he's going to, hey, look, these 80 shoes are worth nothing. I'm just going to sell them for what I paid for them. That's not how it works. So basically, we'll just go to $1,500, right? I might be completely off, but that's what I'm saying, that he made the $800, the 80 pairs of shoes.
Yep.
When he sells them on, someone might only offer him $80 for a pair, $800 for a pair of shoes, like $10 each, or something along the lines of this. So you need to get away from this mindset is that there's no loss in this situation, right? When you come into reselling, you're going to buy a lot of bad things. You're going to buy a lot of junk. You're going to accumulate a lot of junk. And this is what I was saying the other day. I'm actually in the process of shrinking my store down to get rid of that junk. And if I have to liquidate my store or get rid of my store or close it up because I've had enough of eBay and all these different things, which it just seems to be like a trend at the moment on eBay, on YouTube.
It is, isn't it? Yep.
Like my beloved Hilo, Hilo's World Railroad Reseller, he did a video the other day, which was quite good actually. But
it is a good video.
What I want to do is, not everyone's telling about what do you do with these kind of things. So what is the next step? It's like, well, it's good to put your arms up in the air and say, hey, look, I quit. But what happens with your stock? You can't just close your storage shed and walk off. And, realistically, just say if you've got a whole bunch of video games and stuff along that, I'll be able to sell them for $5 a piece. Not in quantity. Like, you'll be lucky to get like $1 or 50 cents each from. So you really need to look at it from that perspective. You need to do a big flush out. And depending on the level of urgency as well, I suppose. If you really need the money now to pay bills, that amount of money that you're able to sell goes down and down and down and down until it's virtually nothing. You might as well just throw the stock away.
Yeah, so last year before I had my back surgery, I purchased a bulk lot of books off Chris Furlong because he was getting out of books at that stage, and he later on went back into books, but he was getting out of them at that stage, and he gave me the option, and so he did a video call with me, and I got to cherry pick out of his books that he was getting rid of what I wanted. But because I was having back surgery, I was unable to pick them up. So I paid for them. He was happy to hang on to them for a while. So he did. Eventually, he actually bought them up near me, and I went over and met him and got those books. Now, I paid 48 cents a book. And a lot of those books he purchased in Savers. So there's no way knowing he paid 48 cents a book. He was paying, $2, $3, whatever for the books. And liquidating them, he's received 48 cents.
And you cherry pick them as well. So
exactly.
You're basically you're paying a higher rate. So if you said, hey, look, I'll take the whole lot, he might have said 5 cents or 10 cents a book, right?
Yep.
But then you would have been stuck with all the junk that wouldn't sell. But realistically, at cherry picking at 48 cents per piece, or like jeans, for example, my clothing, I'm in two minds whether to just liquidate it and say, hey, look, rock up at the Octo Lair and take my clothes. But I paid $6 or $7 on average for those pieces. I might be able to get $2 or $3 just to move them on quickly and get that space back, which should be fine with me, right? Because what you need to look at is that if your business is healthy, your business is running as per normal, and this is not financial advice, but realistically, the profit margins you make on the other products should cover the losses you make on the stuff that you liquidate, right? So realistically, you might take a hit saying, hey, look, I bought a whole bunch of jeans. They're no longer viable. I don't like selling jeans, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to make them $2 each, and I could have made, I'm losing $4 a unit. Yeah. But if I sell something for, $700, $800, $900, $1,000 profit, that profit offsets that loss. Yes. So you need to look at it from that perspective. You're not losing $500. You actually sold an item, that you paid $50 for and sold it for $1,000, your profit's now, 500 opposed to, 1,000, for example. And I'm not taking fees or tax out of that, so you need to look from that perspective. So. But these are the things you need to look at. So.
People do silly things. Even Adam, the song person that made you this wonderful song,
he's not on my shit list for the week.
Oh yeah, look, he bought some stuff at auction which he picked up yesterday, and one of the things he ended up with, because he accidentally clicked on the button, was a box of vintage knee-length socks.
They probably will sell well if they're actually new.
They will, but we're just trying to work out how to convince him to list them.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to, right? So that kind of stuff I personally would sell internationally, and I would sell keywords like movie set, props, vintage, and all these different things, because that kind of stuff you're going to be looking at, depending on how old they are, right? You'd be looking at like vintage war pieces or production sets and all these different things that have that time period.
I'm going to say by the look of them, they're late 70s, early 80s, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So, maybe even earlier.
That's right. Yeah, depending on there's a lot of theatre productions around that set in that time period. So you really want to be targeting that market. They're going to be very long tail, so in the sense of that. But if you make them in bundles of 2 or make them in bundles of 3, then kind of go from that perspective. Because fancy dress party, Halloween's coming up. Get them on eBay now, because people might want to dress up at a 70s party or something along lines of that. School reunions and all these different things, especially in Australia. We're actually moving into the warmer months. School reunions might be coming up, and if it's a 50th year anniversary, they might dress up like people that did in the 70s or something along lines of this. You need to really think from that perspective. So you could go Halloween, props, movie, all these different keywords. I would literally limit socks to be like men's 70s vintage socks, new in pack, or whatever it is. Then do all your keywords after that. With, Halloween costume, all these different things, cosplay,
and fill that topic. that whatever it is, topic section up with as many as you can. That's
right. And stuff like that is fine, but knowing Adam like I do, he's never going to list them. He's probably going to have them buried in him.
Because even though we could tell him that they have got value, but because he has no knowledge about them whatsoever, it's going to be hard work for him to list them, so he doesn't want to do it. So they'll just sit there.
And this is going to sound very egotistical, and by all means, I mean it too. I have never sold a pair of socks. I don't know nothing about socks, and I just rattled off keywords and rattled off, buzzwords and all these different things and different niches you can portray into. If you, as a reseller, and don't really care about how long you've been doing it, if you haven't been doing it for long, you need to get to that stage where you can just rattle off things that you can kind of bring into different niches about. If you've been doing it for a long time and you can't do that, you can't think outside the box of how you're actually going to do this product. You really need to looking for another side hustle. Because it's getting and I'll quickly show you my Flipwise notes from last week because I like being transparent. Give me 2 seconds, Granny. Just keep talking to them.
Okay. What am I talking about today? What I will talk about is that, look, I have got my little label scrapers that I've turned into key rings, and there are some different varieties, and these are going to be available in my store perhaps later today or tomorrow when I get them photographed. So I've put key rings on them so that you don't lose them, and there are different key rings. But one of the key rings is really exciting because I've got little pictures of Grumpy Granny in them.
Yes.
Well, I think it's exciting. Everybody might like it.
You can have an egotistical old lady on your keychain. Look at you go.
Yeah.
So, anyway, this is my last...
So they're little scrapers for getting the labels off books, if anyone's curious.
All right. So basically, I know a lot of people are throwing their arms up in the air, carrying on like pork chops, saying that, how good sales are, how shit sales are, and stuff like this. So this is Flipwise from my perspective. I've been quite busy in the last week, so I've only really listed one brand new thing in the last week, right? So, but hey, it is what it is.
That's poor.
But what it is, look at my profits. This Flipwise, like I said before, it actually brings this total here is up all my my cost of goods and my postage and eBay fees and all these different things. So when people say that you need to list 20 items a day for $10 profit, all these different things, you really, really, really need to be. And this is what it goes back to, right? You need to know what you're sourcing, know your niches, and all these different things. So I sold the week before, I sold 54 items for $1,400. And last week I sold 32 items for almost $1,900. So this is after your profit, right? So this is basically pure profit after fees, postage, eBay fees, ad fees, everything with the exception of tax. I haven't taken tax or GST out yet, but this is what you're looking at from that perspective, right? So I sold 32 items, and I'm not good at math, so I'm not even going to work out an average cost of sales. But literally,
look, it goes back to the same old thing. These two key rings, right? This one's worth $100. This one's worth $10. It takes you the same amount of time to list both of those. So, from that perspective, if you can, you put the $100 one, but that doesn't always happen. But yes.
Well, look at this. Look at the listings, right? So this week I've listed one item.
Yeah.
And I've sold 32. And last week I've listed 5 and sold 54. So you could argue it's proportionate, right? But that's less than one listing a day, and I've still sold 55 items, and one listing a day, and I've sold 32. And this is things, like I said, and I said it in one of the lives I was in the other day, is that you really, yes, it is proportionate, but you need to be listing stuff that people want. Don't list 10 items that are junk, and hopefully you'll get all these different things. You really, really, really need to know your niches and all these different things. I can't say the S word, which a lot of those sales were, because Grumpy Granny will smack me. But I was selling, and I was selling things. I sold a rock band set for $850 that I paid $150 for. I sold an anime set for $350 that I paid $50 for. I paid, I sold, what else did I sell? I sold stuff. I can't remember. I showed Grumpy Granny a couple of the sales.
Yeah.
But these are the things, like I said, that they're big price items. I'm working full time. I don't have the time to list religiously, list all these different things. If I can duck out at lunchtime and meet someone like I did with the anime DVD, he actually came to my work. So I said, I'll meet you at the post office. I'll meet you at the post office. I'll pick it up then. So I gave him, he wanted $20 for him. He had a lot of interest at $20. I said, look, hey, if you can meet me, because he was 2 suburbs over. So if you can meet me at lunchtime at Australia Post, I'll give you $50. Yeah, cool, no worries, thanks. And then like literally a week later, I sold it for $350.
Yeah.
So these are work smarter for you. Like, and this is what Mrs. Octopus always says to me. Like, she's always, I suppose, not that I endorse this, but when people come to me, like normally they'll come to my house and say, hey, look, I'm in the area, I'm going to drop it off and go from that perspective. So, if you can get items to come to you, probably wouldn't suggest coming to your house like I do, but if they go to your local shop or something like this, meet them there. So you're not driving 30 minutes, because a couple of weeks ago, I drove 30 minutes down South Canberra to pick up a Nintendo DS and a couple of games for $60, got there. And she's like, oh, no, I sold the DS separately. And I was like, no, we agreed on this. So I drove like an hour return for 2 DS games. And these DS games gave me $100, but that would have been a $300, $200, $250 sale. Well and truly worth my time. But God, I was cranky when I came back. Judder, Wayno, and Twilsy Thrifters copped the voicemail on the way back.
Little disgruntled, were we?
Oh, this is disgruntled, right? And this is where I was when I was coming home. Just keep going. Oh, there we go. We're going.
Oh, dear.
Yes, but like I was saying, is that you really, 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 really need to know.
I think one of the biggest things with reselling is that people jump. They see something on YouTube or, somewhere they see 80 pairs of shoes for sale, and they spring at it, jump at it, react really quickly. And I think the thing a lot of us need to do is step back and think. Like, all right, in that case, you didn't know that she'd sold the DS separately and you'd travelled all that way. But people will jump in the car and travel and go and pick stuff up. And, realistically, buying that, the cost of getting there in petrol and getting back makes that unviable. But people don't stop and think.
So the reason why I was uber disgruntled for is because we agreed that I was going to buy the DS and the 2 games, right? But Facebook now Facebook Messenger has an option that can actually edit the message after the fact. So so she and I showed screenshots of this to like Wayno and Judder and all these different things, is that basically it was like, yes, $60 for the DS, the 3DS and the 2 games. Cool, no worries, I'll see you in 20 minutes. Got down there and it's like, oh no, I sold the DS separately. And because I had I have mentioned before, I always take screenshots of as proof of tax, right? So basically I'll take screenshots took the screenshot and I said, well, no, here you've written $60 for this, this, and this. And then when I went to check it again, it was like, $10. And I was like, you've edited the thing.
Yeah.
It was completely different to the screenshot I took. So
that's
I was less than impressed. So, but like I was saying, is that you really, really, really need to know your stuff. Like Grumpy Granny said, is that take into consideration all the ancillary things that come into play. Like, driving at an hour, you've got your fuel, you've got your time. For that time, I would have just bypass those games and just listed some extra stuff and made more money in the long run. Or just spent, watch TV or do something infinitely better than driving half an hour or all these different things.
Yeah. Or spend an extra half an hour, scouring Facebook to find something else that's closer.
Well, that's exactly right. And, it's very far and few between where people will actually deliver stuff to you. But I'm finding that the younger people are. So, like the kids that are selling, their collection, all these different things. They're like, hey, look, my mum's in the area or she's going to the shops. I can come and swing by and all these different things. So you need, obviously if you're in Donald, people aren't going to drive to Melbourne from you. But if you are in a higher, like where I live, I'm in more of a centralised suburb. So it's kind of like on the way through to everything. So people just pop off, 20 seconds, gets $100 because especially if they're going to buy. So the ones that I've found is that they're buying video games at EB Games or GameStop, all the different things things. And it's like, well, if I swing by Grumpy Granny and sell her this thing for $100, then I've got another $100 to spend when I get to the game shop or get to wherever I'm going from that perspective.
Yeah,
so that's the
true.
mindset of these kids. So realistically, like, I don't ask for it. I just say, look, the way I normally get around to it, and by all means, be careful you do it. It's like, hey, I can't get out till at 2 hours, 3 hours, all these different things. And sometimes they'll come back and say, hey, look, I'm driving past that suburb in 20 minutes. Did you want me to swing by? Yeah, sure, no worries. And this is my address.
Yeah.
You go. Like, do your due diligence. If they're standing in their profile picture with a knife and blood covered, probably don't give them your address.
Perhaps, ignore that one.
But like I'm saying, is that make sure someone's at home with you. So obviously, if they do try and murder you, they murder everyone. But all these different things. So, but like I said, just make sure that you do your due diligence. Do it after dark. If you got a shop around the corner or you got somewhere close that's populated, go from that perspective. But like I said, but that's what I normally do, and that's what I'm finding. It's a lot easier.
Well, I'm starting to get a little excited because 22nd of next month, which I know that's a little time away, is our whole town garage sale here. And it's the one day a year we have garage sales in town because pretty much the rest of the year there aren't any. And I've never actually been to it as a buyer because I've always had my own garage sale on that day. So I'm not doing that this year. So I can actually go sourcing and go around all the garage sales.
That's
so
exactly
that'll be
right.
a bit of fun.
So as we close it up, Granny, so what do you got coming up this week?
So this week I'm about to record my history story, which will be really fun because this one is a part of my family that I know very, very well. That is back in the early 1900s, but I know I have researched the absolute kajeebas out of this lot, and there's some fantastic stories. But instead of having any notes or even bullet points, I'm just going to put photos on the screen and I'm just going to talk. So, people say they like to hear me talk, so that's what you're going to get in that one. And I'm also going to do a reselling video, which I'm going to do after that, and that'll be released in a few days.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's excellent.
Oh, so and keep checking out Grumpy Granny Reads because there's some new books on Grumpy Granny Reads.
Right.
And I made a special one for one of my grandchildren, Wyatt. And on my channel, there's a reaction video. It's just a short of him when he was watching it, which is absolute magic.
That's right. It was actually quite good. Actually, I liked it. But yeah, like I said, that's good. Definitely check out Grumpy Granny Reads. Check out the Reselling Clickbait podcast. We'll put that on there. I will be appearing not this week, next week. We did have a little bit of a international incident that the octopus was behind. I won't give it away because it's SSK promo. So he's the one that's basically.
Let's just say it's going to be something worth watching.
That's exactly right. So I'll probably do some work with Ken after the podcast because, like us, his podcast gets very mediocre views per se. But I do think this has got the potential to go viral because it is just insane. And Ken's quite the good storyteller, so I can embellish it a little bit. But as for myself, I've got a video coming out probably today, which is 3 days ago, when you're watching this, about how to reset your Skylanders, because Graham has been harassing me day.
Finally, you've been saying you've been going to do that video for 2 years.
Yes, I know, but that's right. So I'm giving the people what they want. It's quick and easy. It's a rough guts video, no editing. I've got to make sure I wear pants. And but that's pretty much it for us for another week. But any closing thoughts, Granny, on our beloved 80 pairs of shoes seller?
Yeah, look, pause, take a few minutes, especially sleep on it before you make a decision.
That's right. And just treat it like eBay. Lock the sale in, do your research, like I said previously, then you're not contractually obliged, right? You're not like eBay, that they're not going to come after you with a shoe. If it's someone that you source off religiously, you might be stuck in that arrangement because you don't want to be mucking people around. But if it's only a one-off, you're never going to see this person again, back out of the sale. You're not going to cost you anything. You've done yourself a service. So anyway, that's enough for us this week. Thank you, Granny. We'll see you next time.
Hooray!